We are live.
I feel like doing Kids in the Hall.
Crushing you.
Yeah, crushing your egg.
Crushing you.
Still, for the record, this is the first podcast you've seen the busts on in the background.
It's very nice.
Best garage sale finds ever.
Yeah. Yep.
And this is the first.
Time
the
you've
first
been
time-
over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And C2. I am I the guest?
It feels like it.
Be prepared to be interrogated.
Right? In the hot seat.
But yeah, there's I had a very interesting week, and continues to. I'll just keep it all veiled in details, but I've been finding out that the ego and pride thing is something that I really got to constantly develop still. Not develop them, develop how to acknowledge when those are getting in the way. Yeah.
It's hard sometimes.
They do a good job. I mean, they are designed to butt themselves into every situation,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
They keep us alive.
Yeah, I started your book as well.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
What do you think so far?
It's good. I like his approach. I think there's a lot of concepts of, keeping the chains moving and, the whole, he refers to it, the lizard brain stuff.
Yes.
He does a very good, another interesting angle of learning to be present, like by loving the process and acknowledging that, I haven't gotten that far, but he's, the lizard brain stuff is very ego driven too. And there's footnotes of like acknowledging where you're at. If you're tired, you're tired. If you're sad, be sad type of thing.
Yeah.
But, I think, I haven't gotten to the point, but a lot of the other books I read, especially in the, Untethered Soul, the Michael Singer stuff, like what we were talking about is like, some of those things are important to me just because of what we hang up on and what we choose to hang up on is stuff that we have either stored or been imprinted on ourselves for very specific reasons. And to release those, you can't just move past it. I think there are times where we need to focus on the present, yes, but there are times that we need to learn to release some of, acknowledge some of our past pains and stuff like that.
I agree. Let us start the show, Patrick.
Yeah.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Welcome to Sober Mind, episode 19. Dang.
Good morning.
That's a lot. Let's roll the intros. Okay. Good morning, Judith, my love. Judy's out in the Zen room. Patrick is here. We did a little switcheroo. So we had crazy Midwest
Wicked storms.
summer rains that happen when they come in around here. It's with you're like, oh man, it's beautiful downpour torrential rain. Then like 5 minutes later, you're like,
Yep.
all right, I want to get off the ride. It's like okay, all right, come. Oh my God, there goes a tree.
Right. 20 years ago, they still be called naders, but, living in the city, they got to come up with the fancy terms. What was it a couple of years ago? Microbursts.
Microbursts.
Microbursts. Yes.
Yeah, I had 80 to 100
Downdrafts and
mile an hour winds.
microbursts.
Right.
Yep.
Them naders.
Them naders.
All right, let's roll it.
This podcast contains adult themes and language. The views expressed here are our own opinions and experiences. We are not medical professionals.
In this podcast, we discuss our opinions about mental health, sobriety, addiction, and our pursuit of happiness and peace. This is Sober Mind.
Yes.
Pure stereo source of Hobbiton now.
Isn't
not
that
like through
awesome?
the internet. Yeah.
It's very calming. All right, let's go to the main view. There we go. All cleaned up. But Yeah, so anyway, the summertime. Good morning, Michelle. You can't hear us? Oh, God.
Here we go.
I can't check on my computer either.
Checking. See, it's leveling. Everything's coming through.
Does Michelle have her computer on mute?
Leveling.
I can't see
Everything's
any
coming
of the
through.
chat, so. Does Michelle have her computer on
Oh,
mute?
it's coming through. It is on, Michelle. I don't know what's up. Maybe turn the volume up. All right. So yeah. Anyway, the Midwest storms, rain came through, a bunch of power went out. Patrick lives right down the road from me. I missed his text. It was like 6:30. John, is your power out? I did not respond, so I apologize. Anyway, told you if it's ever out again, call. We got the whole home generator. This is not sponsored by Generac, but that would be epic if it was.
Yeah.
That whole home generator has saved our hides like, I don't know, 5 times already this year. Dad and I were talking about it. Just
Yeah.
power goes out for 2 hours here and there. It's like, I don't even know it happened. But
Yeah.
so Patrick came over. Judy gave up her co-pilot seat, and Judy's out in the Zen room, and we'll get it going. I wanted to talk about, we didn't have a real packed agenda for some stuff. I want to continue on with the Michael Singer sound bites. But with life events that I'm currently going through, everything is on an adjustment path, if you will. It's a little bit jarring to my routine. My work schedule is interesting, which is good, but I noticed that with a lot of these things that are going on, I've been a lot better equipped to deal with some of these stressors that have happened. You know, it's like I wake up in the morning, old behaviors they pop up. They're like, hey, bitch, what's going on? Did you miss me? Like, no.
I think I tried to turn on the light switch in the bathroom this past like 24
Oh, yeah.
hours. Like every time I walked
Oh,
in.
yeah.
you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
Old behaviors, yeah.
Yeah.
Old
And
habits.
and it was so like I could tell myself the power's not on as soon as I walk in the bathroom.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, the old emotions and just responding to stuff, it's pervasive. I always try to make sure that with Judy and I remind ourselves now with this show, we're like, God damn it, we just talked about this on the show. Pull yourself together, man.
Homework.
Yeah, it is.
Yes,
It is homework,
Definitely.
man. And
Definitely
then
homework.
Patrick, you pop into my head once in a while. You're like, those 30 years of wired drinking behavior. It's not going to change. Two years of sobriety is good, but it's not the reconstructor. So it takes work. It takes practice. But what I've been finding is that the pride and ego, it really gets in the way. It's not something I think I've worked on a lot, so I'm gonna continue to put that into my daily bucket of shit to do with my brain as I get
don't
on
think
with
you've-
my day.
I don't think you've had it tested since we've been sober, except for the current events that are happening right now. I think this is the most severe that it's been tested,
Yeah.
or that you've been tested.
Yeah,
But even that, I mean, being sober and going through these is a lot easier, I think. And the fact that we have the tools to deal with it, it's a lot easier now than if we were drinking, because I know for a fact that if we were still drinking and some of these things came up, it would have been just you would have gone off the rails.
yeah,
I wholly agree. You know, today I'm headed over to my brother's and I'm bringing his dog's ashes and paw print. Last Saturday, was tough
yeah,
because
Yeah.
we did our show and we were watching his dog and he passed, and we've always had dogs, and you know, we've even gone through that recently. The dog's passing, and so
Yeah.
even my kids have been through that, but it still doesn't get easier. You know, but I was thinking back, like, if I had been drinking, I'd probably still be a wreck or still trying to drink through it. You know, it was very, I don't know if traumatic's the right word, but it definitely left an imprint. You know, like I was doing chest compressions on the dog on the way to the vet, you know, with the kids in the car, and they're definitely freaked out and everything, and just trying to talk to them about what's going on. And you know, at least I'm very thankful for being able to sit and talk to them and be present and deal with my own emotions. Coming over here and talking to you about it, you know, I had to recognize that some days, you know, case of the bloods, and just didn't really want to engage on a whole lot. But I couldn't help but think like that would be easily a night, you know, just swimming in IPAs and
Yeah.
waking up the next morning, and the shame, you know, like it just amplifies so much of the ego parts that we don't like sometimes too. Because I am a fixer, you know, in the drama triangle I have to rescue. Like, so when the dog passed, I immediately felt like it was my fault because my brother gave me this to, you know, I was the caretaker of the dog. My little brother came to me and said, "Can you take care of my dog?" And, you know, I felt I failed in that capacity. So, you know, I was like, did I not do chest compressions correctly? Did I not check in on him enough? Did I not see enough signs? Like I was wearing that. And it doesn't matter how much I was trying to like talk my way out of it. That's like at my core of like that failure. Like I feel like I was just wearing. And if I was drinking, like, you know, it took good support systems like my mom and like you, and be like, dogs have shorter lifespans. You know, they are resilient creatures because they may have had like a mass or something, and they would go on without us even knowing it, right? Like,
Yeah.
just
They're also
one
very
day-
stoic. Yeah.
Yeah, right. The point is, I wanted to internalize that so much, and if I didn't have a good support system to like talk through and like, you know, it's okay to feel like I own that, because, you know, that's what I identified as being an older brother, and we care for these animals, and every time they come in, that, you know, they're part of the family. It was my brother's dog, but he was over enough that, you know, I was like, hey, it's Cousin's Day, ha ha ha, you know. It's yeah, you know, I'm thankful. It's crazy to think that was a week ago, knowing that my past self would be like it, like that would be in drinking, thinking that would be my ticket to be like getting wasted.
Oh,
for the
yeah.
weekend, you know,
Definitely.
like, that fucking happened, so I'm just gonna get bombed again, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, and if you would have came over here to talk about it, that would have been
Oh, that would have been a
as soon
drunken
as you
session.
came in towards the garage, I would have handed you a beer, you know,
Oh man,
or a shot.
man,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we have I've had so many drunken hey Odie, good morning or good afternoon, good evening. I've had so many drunken conversations with acquaintances in my past. Judy and I were talking about this a while ago. I think that, and you know, at the time, it's the weird drinking pride and making sense of stuff. You're like, this is a great conversation. Don't get me wrong. There's some talks that I've had that are very beneficial, but the majority of them, you wake up the next day, you're like, what the? Very
the hell was
cringy,
it?
like, Jesus Christ, dude, shut up. Like, just talking for talking's sake sometimes. But I wanted to thank you for bringing that up, because we didn't even talk about if you wanted to discuss that. There was two things during the brief conversation that you and I had that I was reflecting on, and that was that you were really hung up on thinking that it was your fault, like you just talked about, which tell me, you're right, you were aware that you were feeling that, but there has to be a conflict, right? Because the the wiser healing portion of your brain, the logical mental health hardworking individual that you are, is saying it's not your fault, but there's something that it just keeps popping its head up, right? And then the other thing, this two-part question, maybe fruit topic for discussion, is the one thing that the comment that you made, and it made you look really woeful, Patrick, was when your boy said, because he saw you doing chest compressions, and then of course out of the mouths of babes, when he found out that he was asleep forever, still not understanding the concept of death. I told you this, Judy. Patrick's mouth of the babe said, "Why didn't you do chest compressions better?"
Yeah.
So, and that really resonated with you in not such a well way.
I mean,
Discuss.
it's I'm so glad we're talking about ego today, because along with that, I don't have necessarily all the vocabulary for this, and if it seems too spiritual or woo-wooey, just know that there's different ways that different people describe what I'm going to talk about here. And part of it is not just ego of mind, where your mind is at, but where your body is at too, and emotions. We talk about like reacting to certain things, like in my mind I'm making a decision, but your emotions are being triggered by other stimulus, that you're like you're in a fearful state, but
Your limbic system.
right, yeah, I'm trying to talk like your body and your emotions and your mind are aligned. And like for me, for my emotions, that loss, I was not ready for. I was getting hung up on the fact that this happened and it wasn't on my terms, and I wasn't ready to deal with that. That is grieving. Right? And the only way my mind was trying to make sense of it, guess where the first place it went? This didn't go the way you wanted to it or expected you expected it to go.
Yeah.
So it goes, all right, if it didn't go how I expected, then you were fucking wrong. You failed. This is on you.
Is it the lack of control for us?
Absolutely.
Especially as alcoholics.
We are prediction modeling machines, and when the prediction model doesn't match, the brain's like, error, rendering not found, you fucked up. You're, like this is the, and it starts reaching for like, it starts reaching for past items to make that prediction model fit.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, isn't it, since it doesn't have that connection, it reaches for old responses,
Right.
old drunken responses.
Yeah, so this happened. I know this happened in the past, so this is most likely the explanation. Rather than, like we're just taking in new data, like, taking the time to like sift through and be like, maybe he had a mask. Maybe there was something he was dealing with. He was a 9-year-old dog. Maybe he did eat something, but it was, I don't know. And it was to the point where like there wasn't any other indicators outside of his normal behavior to let me know. Right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't due to any lack of failure on mine. Like in any hard situations, our mind always goes to what if, like you're trying to play it backwards and trying to make the past happen the way you want it to. I mean, we talked about this in the last show, Michael Singer saying like, when you're worried about the past, you're replaying it in your head to make it happen a different way.
So lack of control, and then not having clear answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother was, it's been tough talking to him. The hardest thing about, with a pet is like, he's with it, you're not going to get any resolution on it. It's not like they're going to do an autopsy and, have a final say on it. It's just,
It was just
part of
his time.
life. Yeah.
Unfortunate circumstances that happened to fall in your lap.
I was very, I'm thankful for my support system, and happy that he got to spend his last weekend with my dogs, wrestling like they did. And he was lethargic on his last day, but, some days he was like that after he would eat a whole loaf of bread off the counter. He was the only dog I'd see that our dogs wouldn't have any issues. But, sure enough, he'd just, he'd be like, just a walking a brewery almost, just smoke you out of a room a few hours later, after eating a loaf of bread.
A lot of fermentation going on.
Yeah, he was a great dog, man, and thankful to be around the experience, for family there. And, we had an emergency vet up the road. They weren't able to do anything, of course, when we got there, but having those resources available it didn't work out how I wanted to, but I was thankful for the people and everything that I had around me. So,
Well, sorry for that whole situation, man. Babe, that dog tail out there.
I can't help it. It's just thwacking everything that's around.
so good.
He's excited, so his tail is just hitting everything in view.
The thing that I told you, and I didn't when we're standing out in the garage, I didn't know what. Sometimes you just don't know what to say, and sometimes I think it's okay if you just don't say anything, which is, I think, a tougher thing for people to do in conversation. Like, just
My brain can't do that.
I know.
So I'm like the
Yeah.
worst person to be like, oh, the awkward pause,
Yeah.
intercept the conversation, go now.
so my brother's
I was
dog
just,
died.
I was just
and
gonna
just-
say, yeah, I was just gonna say that Patrick being a fixer, that would be the first thing, because the first thing he'd want to do is let me fix you,
Right.
let me fix the problem for you.
Yeah. So what I was telling Patrick, and I don't know if the timing was good, but I have to remind myself, and Judy and I have had this conversation, unfortunately, quite a few times with dogs. We love them so much. We've got, currently in our lives, we got Nessa, our boxer, and our little pit bull lab mix, Ozzy, which is, that guy came into my life at just the perfect time. He's such a fucking pain in the ass, but in such a good
But
way.
he's
Like
awesome.
he does not, like, he keeps your brain going all the time. It's like, oh, did you want this sock? Guess what? Or just, I don't know. He's awesome. But, we lost our Chihuahua. We lost a Chihuahua before that. We lost our Shepherd. I'm not going to go down the list. Every time it happens, it's completely shocking. Because we
Yeah.
get these pets with sort of the, dare I say, egotistical mindset of, oh, they're going to be in our lives forever. And the thing about Chip, our big Chihuahua, when he passed, was this is the only thing that kind of helped me get past it, because he was just so intelligent and stoic and funny and loving. And then within 2 days, he died, and we're like, what the fuck? And the vet's like, his gallbladder just wasn't processing stuff, and it's just like, it happens. It just happens.
Yeah.
There's no, if the dog could tell you, like, hey, I got a pain in my lower left abdomen, then we might know what's going on, but we just don't. They're, at the end of the day, they're animals, and we're still trying to figure it all out. I'm like, it kind of makes me feel a little bit better. But a good friend of mine in the San Francisco Bay Area, he was a breeder of champion Rottweilers. He said, this is the life cycle of pets, no pun intended. He says, that's why when you have them, always make the best of it and just really enjoy their companionship. So that may or may not help ease the pain for some folks, but it did for me for a little bit. But Patrick, we don't have to tell you, it wasn't your fault, and your boy will eventually understand the nuances of this horrible thing that we experience, which is death. So,
Yeah, he's processing it in his own way, right? So
the lack,
And at least you're sober and you're there for him to help guide him.
yes,
And you're not, in your own drunken miasma.
yeah, definitely past me, since that's so raw, such a raw emotion. If he would have said that I know what my immediate response would be, and that would be of anger and dismissal. You know, like, you don't know, you're not old enough, you don't, you know,
You have no idea.
you have no idea, right? And it's like,
I'm so sorry. I'm sitting here laughing at your comment because Odie put animals are great companions. I had a goat amongst other things. She wanted to eat my ear, but never bit hard.
I thought, thank you, Odie. Like, yeah.
That's awesome. I love it.
Sorry.
I mean, but that's the thing, the connections that we make to any of these animals, right? That are
Yeah,
around.
they're
It's
part
like
of our family.
ego writes them into part of our identity,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And-
That's who this is. This is the picture of me.
And an animal, okay, this is gonna, wow, I didn't expect this feeling to come up. Animals for me, especially dogs, were greatly important because no matter how much of a piece of shit I felt I was, or attached to anything, or broken down expectations, they were always able to give unconditional love.
Yep, they always
And
loved you.
in my darkest moments, you know, could always come home and hang out with my dog, and I didn't feel encumbered to give attention to them, and likewise, they never asked for anything back. They were just always just so happy to see you the moment you walked in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that was, I know it's an animal, but like, when you're in those places, the fact that something like that could give that gift to you, I have nothing but gratitude for that.
Agreed. Wholeheartedly. I think I've told, thanks for sharing that, Patrick. During the first year and a half of my mental health implosion of depression, after I got sober, Nessa was, I'd have to go lay down so much. Just always have to go lay down. It was all my body
you were
and
also-
body.
You're also going through a lot of those panic attacks too.
Yeah. And I would just go lay down. And she would always she'd come walking down the hall, she'd crawl up on the bed, and just like they could sponge the energy from me too. Like, I'm gonna take a little bit of this from you. You know what I mean? Like I feel something, I'm gonna lay down, I'm gonna help you get through it.
Mm-hmm.
But you're absolutely right. The unconditional, non-judgmental stuff.
Yeah, and the fact that something, you know, like, I was so stuck in my head about everything else, and like, I mean, I don't want to be dramatic or anything right now, but it's like, when it's that dark, something that could give you that unconditional love, it feels like a miracle at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like, because, you know, like, my mom's always been loving, but, you know, when I was depressed, I always felt like, you know, like, I was a son that didn't deserve that, right? Or, you know, I was in my own head about it. Like, even she had nothing but love for me, like, I would still get in my own way on a lot of that. But having an animal, you know, was, as a pet, you know, to be able to give that, I don't know, there's just something about that I'm very grateful for, you know.
Agreed. I'm gonna go let Ozzy in before I smack him.
Go deal with your miracle.
He's standing at the baby gate at the end of the hall,
Right.
just whining.
His ears are burning. He knows we're talking about him.
Yeah, and I've got Puka behind me, just passed out.
Yeah. So, buddy.
Okay, Michelle, we have broken Michelle with this discussion. She's crying. She wants to move on, and it is time to do that anyway. Okay.
She's crying. She wants to move on.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm not laughing at her crying. It's just the fact that she's like, okay, I'm done. Move on.
It's tough, man. Like,
It is tough. I remember this was a while ago. I was in my late 20s, and I had a close friend of mine who she she married, and then 5 days later she got killed. They were taking pictures on Lovers Point by the coast, and a wave came up and pulled her right into the water. It was really choppy that day. There was big storms that were happening, and so I felt I had that survivor's grief or guilt, and it was just why did she have to die, you know? And the drinking was just one of those things. It was like, okay, I'm suffering, so it's time to just pound whatever I've got in my fist. And it was not the best way to deal with that grief, because that grief, it just extended that grief for long periods of time. And every time I would start to feel really, you know, more grief stricken than normal, the first thing I would do was like, okay, well, I need a beer. I need a shot. I need some kind of alcohol, because that's just how I knew how to deal with it.
I feel like looking back at it, you know, we talk about processing our emotions now, and when we say beer or alcohol was our coping mechanism, I almost want to say it wasn't even a coping mechanism. It was just basically the vacuum seal equivalent of like, yeah. here's this, and you're like, well, don't want to deal with that. We're just gonna seal it up nicely and just we're gonna just bury it nice and deep.
Smother,
you know, right?
We're just gonna smother this for a while.
It was an automatic reaction to everything. You know, 4th of July is coming up, or happened, or Labor Day, or Christmas, or Thanksgiving. My mind is always just like, which beer, which 30-pack of beer shall I consume on that day? Same thing with any tragic event. Was like, well, just I'm gonna drink, I'm gonna get drunk because of this, because of that, because of this.
Yeah.
It's always
And
wildly, disgustingly pervasive.
It's such a societal norm now. I mean, I listen to audiobooks all the time, and I was listening to an audiobook, and it's very prevalent. And this is a fantasy novel about wizards and, you know, stuff, crazy stuff. But that underlining trait, that underlining response is prevalent throughout the book. And it's shocking that, you know, it's so readily available in our society, in our mindset, that I'm surprised that, you know, not everybody has this concept.
What holiday IPA best describes your personality and how you're feeling?
Yeah.
That you want to identify with, right?
Exactly.
man.
You're not relaxed enough until you've had a vodka tonic with this kind of vodka. Yeah.
Right.
You're not the life of the party until you've had a shot of tequila.
Yep. What's the Bacardi one? Like we you know what? We will do an episode, I think, before the end of summer. Let's just get some of the commercials and we'll do a reaction to them. Like one of my favorite, the Bacardi one, where like the good son is walking down the street with that bottle of Bacardi rum.
That was Crown Royal.
Was it? Okay, whatever. And he's like, this is why you're accomplished and you're a good person, and this is
this is why you have all these friends, and why your mother loves you.
They're saying like this weird catchphrase of like, and your mom's only son, and blah blah blah. And then he's cracking open and they're like doing it on the rocks, and I'm like, who the fuck even does that? His mom has got to be like, you are an alcoholic.
Yeah, right. I want to do a deconstruction
Walking
of
down
this
the
for
street
sure.
with a bottle of booze. Come on, man.
Like all you have to do is like put that in a brown paper bag, and then all of it just the wheels come off.
Yeah. All right, let's do it.
All of a sudden, you're living in a box underneath a bridge somewhere.
Let's do it. I'll get the commercials. They're public domain, and we'll just do reactions to them. Let's do that in the next couple of weeks. That'll be fun.
That will be. Because there's so many. It's we're so inundated with it. It's surprising. I never even realized it until we sobered up.
And I could write the follow-up ones. Like they'll show it, and then I'm like, so the morning after one is this one?
Yeah.
Or the during. Like,
Right.
no. It's like the guy walking down to the beach with one bottle of Corona, like gently swinging it in his hand, like no one.
Or you do the Wings or the original Roseanne, like they have the nice the endings to those where they like they have it all nice and rosy, like your mom's son or like, you know, whatever, like
Yeah.
everything's going great. And then they just like wake up on the park bench,
Yeah.
like, and realize
Yeah.
it was just a dream because they were drinking so much.
Yeah. Or
Wake up in some stranger's bed trying to gnaw your arm
Right.
off so you don't wake him up. Yeah.
the dude pissing on you in the drunk tank. Your mom proud of you, boy?
We got some dark humor
Yeah.
here. I love it.
Waking up with Sharpie mark all over your face.
God, the oh my God, some of the shit I
The stories we could tell.
did. Yeah. All right. This is one of Patrick's favorite dudes. He's slowly becoming one of mine too. I like a lot of his thought philosophy here. We're gonna get back into it. We've got a long segment of Michael A. Singer, and he's got a segment on here called "Stop Fighting Your Mind and Do This Instead." So what we've been doing is quick, like 3-minute chunks of it. I think so. We're on the second one, so we're gonna go to where was I? 6 minutes and 30 seconds here, and we'll just we'll watch about 3 minutes of it, and then we'll discuss. It's really good stuff. If you haven't seen Where We Are Now, go check the other episodes, or look up Michael Singer, Stop Fighting Your Mind and Do This Instead. This has helped me out with a lot of stuff so far, even just the 6 minutes into it. So here we go.
Underneath all of it. That's what's underneath all the mind, is trying to figure out how to manipulate and control everything to be okay. Does my breath smell? Do I look good? Is my shirt tucked in right? In other words, how do I be okay? How do I be okay? How do I be okay? That's all it's saying all the time. It's just speaking in different languages. The language of relationship, the language of money, the language of possessions, the language of fear, the language of everything. Either you're trying to get things to be okay, or you're trying to avoid things that you think will make you worse. Who sees that? The reason I care about the outcome of anything, I don't care. I go to get a job, I get the job. And, you know, I get the raise, I get the raise. I don't get the raise, I don't get the raise. You know, people are happy with my work, they're happy with my work. They're not happy with my work, they're not happy with my work. What can I do? I'm doing the best I can. Here, coach. Play the best I can. Right? Am I good enough? Am I good enough? It's that simple, right? Well, good. We all tried. No, that's not what it's about. It's I'm not okay. Maybe I can play sports well enough to impress everybody, and then I'll be okay. So then it's not okay if you sit on the bench, is it? It drives you crazy to sit on a bench and you're embarrassed. It's just a terrible thing. You don't want anybody to see you. It's like it has the opposite effect of everything you were looking for. That's why all this disturbance and difficulty is taking place. Because you're not coming to grips with the fact that it's not okay in there. It's not. Net is a spiritual person at some point takes this journey seriously and looks inside and says, I'm not okay. And the world owes me nothing. Why would the world owe me anything? There's no way that this world is here to fix my problem. That is not why either evolution or God created the heavens and earth. If it was total random events that all came together from the beginning of the Big Bang and they just evolved themselves all the way out with survival of the fittest, they didn't do it for you. And if in 6 days, 7 days, whatever it is, God created the heavens and earth and just made the whole thing and the flood happened and Noah did his thing and all that took place, it wasn't for you. It was not so that when you have a problem, she shows up, right? And everything's just that way. It's like, it's not here for you. You're sitting inside, you're not okay, and you're in a world that really has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the forces of nature. It has to do with the laws of cause and effect. It's just like the weather. So you stop thinking it owes you anything. Nobody owes you anything. The world is not the solution to your problem. Other people are not the solution to your problem. They're not the cause of your problem. They're outside, you're inside. You're trying to make them the solution to your problem. You're trying to say, I'm not okay, fix it. I'm not okay, get this way so that I feel okay. Everybody, listen up. Woo! Here's the program. This is what will make me okay. Get with it. Do it. You say it to everybody, one way or another. You stop doing that.
Yeah, that's good. It's very
Yeah.
apropos. Hey, Dawn, good morning.
That's Wendy, by the way.
Yeah. Hi, Wendy.
Anyway, hi Wendy.
I know.
I didn't know.
Nessa, get out of here. We were just talking nice about you. Now you're being a pain.
You know, it's kind of for me that when he said, "This is not, none of this is for you," it was kind of, that was a big statement. That was a big.
Yeah, how much do you get hung
they-
up on that? I remember hearing that the first time. This is not here for you. Well, fuck you.
Well, it
I'm
was kind of it's kind of liberating too,
Yes.
because then you don't have to that responsibility of worrying about what they think of you is gone, because it's just you, and it's kind of it's it's soul crushing, but it's liberating at the same time.
Ego crushing.
Yes, ego crushing. Yeah.
Yeah, this is it goes back to that comment my therapist made that people read into a little bit much, where she said when I was talking about panic attacks and going to events and getting real anxious about stuff, and it's the whole glass frog aspect that we went
Yes.
over. Nessa, get out of here.
Yeah, it's very much the glass frog. It's very much, oh my God, what is everybody thinking? And they can see right through me. They know all my bad habits. They know all, everything, all my deepest, darkest secrets. And they really don't. And they really don't care
Yeah.
about you, because they're dealing with their own shit.
I haven't been back. Sorry, Patrick.
Go ahead.
I haven't been back into, so I got a new position at work, and I haven't been into that building in 2 years. And then going back into it is just, that, man, I'm so aware of it, but I'm really practicing on how to get rid of it. There's a ton of like, oh, someone's gonna ask me this question and someone's gonna ask me that and blah blah blah. And it's like, when I got there, there's no. It's almost anxious causing, and then almost a letdown.
Anticlimactic.
Yeah, because I'm like, oh my God. Someone's gonna, I haven't seen, I don't know who these people are. There's so many new people, and I was like, and then no one even gives a shit, and it's like, well, who is?
This is how well it's layered, because it's like the anxiety builds up, like, oh shit, they're gonna see me, so I'm gonna prep these answers. I'm gonna have, if somebody asks this, I'm gonna think of every way for it to happen, and I will be ready. I will be defensively postured to deal with any unknown that comes my way. And then it unfolds in front of you, and it doesn't happen the way you did, way you thought it should or could. And then immediately your mind's like, and you might get that second of reprieve, like, oh, they didn't ask the question. But it's like, well, fuck, they didn't see me. They didn't ask the questions that I was expecting them to. They weren't even paying attention to me. They thought I was a piece of shit enough that they didn't even care. Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it's like it's you're basically writing that story. You're creating that scenario in your head.
you're
then when it
reframing
doesn't-
it for ego to be okay, right?
Yep.
Why do we do it, man? It's I don't know.
Because we care about what other people think.
Man, I don't know if I do anymore. I really don't. I think that's the paradox. I really got to continue practicing it. I think it's a survival mechanism still. It's like, how is the dinosaur going to try and capture me?
It absolutely is. And that's why it's the death of ego doesn't mean to dismiss it. It is not something for us to rise above and transcend beyond. Like, ego is perfect for what it does. It's saying, I'm experiencing this world from this perspective. This is how I know it. It's me. This is I. Ego is I. Does that make sense? Like, so he frames everything happening to him. So he says, I saw X, Y, and Z happen. So due to my past history, I know A, B, and C will happen. All right.
Or I'm going to prep myself for A,
Survival.
B, and C.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Self-preservation.
And so there's nothing more rewarding. So say you do prep for those questions that people are going to ask me, like, what happened? Where have you been? Or whatever. And when they ask a question that's like perfectly framed for one that you went over in your head, take a second to like really feel what is happening inside. Are you fearful at that moment? Or are you like relieved and almost happy that your prediction modeling machine got proven correct? Oh my God, this person asked the exact question that I was sweating about. And you like pull up in your brain, you're like, all right, here's my script. X, Y, and Z happened, and I'm here now, and it's all good. and they're like, and then the next question comes and you're like, oh fuck, I didn't do the follow-up question. Right. But my point is that if you take that space to see inward about like how that brain operates, my prediction modeling machine is I am validated. Ego is correct. I predicted enough that we survived another day.
Yeah.
And it did what it was supposed to do, right? Like I got us here. I.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And the second day was way better. I called Judy at lunch and I said, it's not even a big deal. I'm actually enjoying myself. And then, you catch yourself in those fleeting moments where it's like little shocks of good reality. And it's like, oh, I'm actually surrendering to it and feeling like I'm, catching myself living in the moment. Like, oh, fuck, this is actually really nice. And I'm enjoying myself.
Which is good.
Yeah. It's very good.
At least you're not sitting there going, why did I stress about this the whole time?
Yeah.
It's nothing.
What I have found lately in the last couple months is that especially since I've gotten off the medication, which has been update, it's good. Everything's good. I'm going on almost 2 months, just to simplify the whole timeline. But I've started to really see the raw portion of the neglectful, self-destructive me. And that is, I can really put myself into a pity party pretty fast. And it's borderline disappointing. I catch myself, I'm very well aware of it. I started this morning not with Judy, but I told Judy, I said, for this certain thing that we have going on, I was like, I feel myself slipping into a little bit of a depressive state, and I know I can pick myself up out of it, and I needed to talk through it, and we ended up in a good spot. But man, I know I'm not the only one. I know there's millions of people this happens to. You start to go down that path of, oh man, I'm responsible for this. I did this. And
It's all my fault.
and then Judy even had to pick me up. She's like, what'd you say? You get like 10 more minutes of self-flagellation, but we need to do the problem solving portion. She's like, we need to do the problem solving portion of this. So fucking hurry up out of that.
So brutal.
Right. I'll sit down with your imaginary tea party, whatever, serve it up. All right. I
Yeah.
got
She
really
my
said
fill.
that.
Thank you.
No, I said you got about 10 more minutes of self-flagellation, and then we got to start focusing on the solution.
Process.
It's not.
Go
It's
ahead.
not the reason why. The reason why I said that was not to be mean, was to try and refocus his brain on positive avenues instead of staying stuck in the quagmire of self-pity.
The ego does such a good job of just try. It gets swept up in the emotion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if pity is it, then ego's going to be like, all right, this is the pity party. I am dressing to the fucking nines. This is who we are. This is what we're being. I'm not seeing, like, it's so method acting that it doesn't want to see anything beyond that, right? Like, it's just like, this is this. And then the fact, I like that you framed it as you did, Judy, because like when I was trying to process the death of, my brother's dog, it was like, it finally had to come to be like, look, you feel like it was your fault. I had to take the time and space to be like, you feel it is your fault because you care for your brother so much. You identify as X, Y, and Z as being an older brother, somebody that can provide space and protect, but you can't protect everything, right? Like, so I felt like my identity was attacked, like that's what my emotion felt like when that passed. And so I had to give that space. Like, you are attached to this, and it's okay because you care for your brother very deeply, right? Same with, like, it's very important that we attend the pity parties, but it's very important that we also learn how to leave the pity parties, right?
For sure.
Yeah, to take that step to keep the chains moving.
Yep.
Again, it's the lizard brain, man. It's our
Limbic system.
how little energy it takes to go down that path of negativity versus, man, why can't it just channel all that into happiness
Well,
all day long?
if we get further into Michael Singer, and it's interesting. So he talked about we go to the things that we want or make us quote unquote feel happy, and we want to avoid the things that make us feel bad. At some point, we are the ones that ascribed good and bad to these experiences. Feeling depressed is not a bad thing. It is going through the stages of grief is what you need to go through, anger, depression, bargaining, except like all that. Those are neither good nor bad. That is just how you have to process. If you're feeling depressed about something, it's not like, oh, fuck, I'm feeling depressed again. We're here. It's like, what is this trying to tell me right now? And that's
How can I learn from it?
Yeah, that's what's so hard about ego. When I say like when it is method acting and it wants to be in the pity party, like I've shared before, like anger. When I'm in a state of anger, my past self want to be like, well, fuck, I'm fucking angry again. And I would get angry at being angry. And we know what happens when you try to meet that, those two together, so like when you are in a state of depression, that doesn't mean you have to respond depressed
With more depression, yeah.
right. Like bringing grace to this situation and knowing that like this is a depressed part of me, or like I'm feeling grief or despair because this is not aligning, and that's okay. You're giving time for your prediction modeling that we're doing is not a bad thing. It's keeping us alive, right? It's just our operating system takes some time to bring in the new input.
Yeah.
Also, for me, I think it helps to step back and look at it from the observer point of view.
Yep.
Just to take in everything as an observer. Okay, this is happening. This is happening. This is happening. And just look at them from the outside perspective and ask, okay, why are these things happening, instead of from the emotional perspective of it. That helps me to kind of put everything into.
Be curious, not judgmental, even with yourself.
Yeah.
I know, but it's again easier said than done sometimes.
Yeah.
When you're in the middle of it, it is very hard. Yeah.
I also talked about anger being very intoxicating. Ego. When you finally give ego the keys to the car and you're swept up in your emotions, there's a part of you that is like, I am validated. I am like wholly depressed, or I am wholly angry, or I am wholly bitter. And there's part of ego that just wants to ride that. Right? Like, I am validated being here. So the pity party, woe is me, hey John, you're not that bad of you're a very good person. What happened wasn't your fault. I don't deserve that. I don't want, it's like,
I have a right to be here.
Yeah, I have a. Oh man, what a beautiful way to put that, Judy.
I have a right to be depressed.
So yeah, like, it's like I have a right to be depressed. Let me talk to your manager. This is where I need to be right now. And it's like,
I have a right to be here.
Man,
It's giving me a lot to think about.
It's good. Go ahead.
I'm much better at it. Sorry, I'm switching gears because I'm the most depressed, anxious person on the show. So I want to give.
Is that your title?
Yeah.
Are we handing out medals?
Yes.
Okay.
I want to make sure that my depressed people in the audience remember that I sympathize with you wholeheartedly, and so do all of us. It's just that for me, the awakening that has happened since I became sober was that it has gotten progressively easier. So we always say, be kind to yourself, have patience. We really do have to do that. But I understand, just like Judy has seen me, there's times when I wake up or something happens Oh, by the way, my new thing is now I don't check the finances before I get out of bed in the morning.
That's a bravo move.
Yeah.
Yeah, try to stop doom scrolling immediately.
Yeah.
Yes.
For the depressed folks out there, remember it does take time and patience for yourself. Hey, speaking of the scrolling, what are we? I'm 2 weeks with no Reddit. I feel good.
I'm jealous. I'm not quite off Reddit yet, but definitely cold turkey on the Tiki Tacs and the Facebook. So that's helped a
Nice.
lot,
Good for
so.
you.
Yeah.
Good for you both. That's awesome.
But the book, Fuck Your Feelings, is one thing I have enjoyed to compare to some other books is connecting this development with some of our behaviors. And what I mean by that is, he talks about moving the chains, is also recognizing the fact that, we spent years rewiring our brains for alcohol. Yes, we can say that, and we're going to be fucked up. But the other point is, like, we spent years amplifying that doubter, that pity party person, those quote unquote
Self-critic.
negative feelings, that self-critic. We have amplified them and give them space to roam. Like, they are masterful in their craft. Like, they are the debate veterans in our brain, right? And so as soon as the more positive, self-affirming ones show up, I remember when they first show up, they're like, "Hey, man, you gotta be." It's, like I joke, it's like Bob Ross showing up in your brain for the first time. You're like, "Hey, that's right. That's a happy little emotion." And you immediately want to turn and be like, "Who the fuck are you?"
Yeah.
Like,
We're just going to make a happy little tree, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we just haven't given them the space to like grow and have legs and have like a mature conversation to give them like, it's like what I do like about Fuck Your Feelings is talking about it's behavior too, right? Just getting in the reps of like being able to tell yourself that it's okay, or like you will persevere and you to go through that. That's a part of your behavior that's not you. That's not you, like as inside as in the spirit. That's just a behavior that your brain has learned. That's it. And you just got to set aside some of the other things and teach it a new process.
Rewire.
Yeah.
Rewire.
Yeah.
And once I find that once you start to get into that behavior and start utilizing it as, in a like a religion, your brain automatically starts to go, oh, okay, this is how you want it. Okay, well then we'll just start doing this now. This is how we do this now. It takes a little while, but the brain actually is very good about that. It'll take what you want, and if you keep forcing it and saying, okay, this is what I want, this is what I want, it finally goes, oh, okay, got it. This is what you want. So it starts to just funnel that stuff more and more and more.
Behaviors, you can do that too. And then, like I said, with the prediction modeling machine, like an operating system, when you bring in that new information, right, it takes time to rewrite. But if you, there's another book that talks about this as Atomic Habits. Instead of like, Michael Singer was talking about being outcome driven here in these conversations, right? Like, I dress like this not because I like the clothes, it's because I want
other people
to like me. I need to be validated, right? That's outcome driven. Like, I only run because I want to be fast, right? That's or like I want to beat a world record or something. That's outcome driven. Instead of saying like I wake up and just saying like I like to run, or I like to wear tank tops because it's suns out, guns out, or sorry. The point is rewriting the operating system, like you were saying, Judy, is knowing that there comes a point when you say that, when that little voice pops up in your brain and say like, I love you as a person, or, be kind to yourself. There is a point when it pops up the first time, it just sounds like an extra voice.
A little whisper.
But there becomes a point when you feel that and you know that, right? And then you start acting upon that, and your actions and emotions begin to align with that.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time.
Yeah.
It takes practice. And it's not one of those things that are just suddenly granted to you, right? It becomes with self-care techniques, going sober, going to bed early,
Mm-hmm.
eating healthier, and working out.
Getting
when you
off
can.
caffeine.
Yeah, right. Just,
Mm-hmm.
and it may not be one of those items, but your actions begin to align together. If you would have told me a couple years ago to cut back on the social media, I'd be like, it's like going to the doctor and they go, you need to lose some weight. And you're like, yeah, of course I need to lose some weight, right? But when you brought that up the other day and talking about it, like I got hung up on the fact because it almost hurt, because it felt like when you said it to me, like when I realized that wasn't fulfilling what I want to do in life, like that was the first time like everything aligned for me. And now I'm not like fighting a lot of it, like I realize I'm not perfect. Like I said, I still have Reddit or whatever, but after that, it was just like, this isn't aligning with what I want. And I was able to leave it, right? I was able to say like, I don't want to do that because it's not fulfilling me where I need to be fulfilled. And I recognize that, it's like, the path to sobriety also taught me that it's not just overnight either. Like when you realize like alcohol is killing you, it's not like you wake up the next day and go, all right, I'm not drinking and everything's going to be fine from here on out.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
even if you give that up, there are like those first 90 days, your mileage may vary, but you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's taken practice, and you have to go through the reps. You have to go through the reps for you to be now like you feel strong in your sobriety, right? When something bad happens, that not drinking is your path forward to how you need to process emotions, right?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Definitely.
We've taken that in, but how long did that take to rewrite your brain I shouldn't say rewrite your brain, for that new operating system, for the new prediction modeling to take hold?
I can't put a time on it because it continues to readjust all the time too. I caught myself. Yeah. I'm very impressed by my awareness of it, sort of to your point. Let me give an example. Judy and I quit drinking and we were still work from home, pandemic stuff. And now I'm going back to the building and doing a little bit of commuting. The first night coming home, Thursday, there was just this autopilot, like, as I was leaving, it was, I can't, there was no real formula behind it. It was, the behavior was the feeling of, I'm going to have some beer.
It's amazing, that whole path, like
So fucking
our
old.
exit. It's like, it's a long walk down hallway.
Yeah.
It's a very cued and scripted exit.
Yeah.
So it's a very known behavior.
Yeah.
Right. So it's interesting. I bet it was interesting to see what cues were on the other side of that very scripted behavior, since that's a long walk for us.
Yes. And
Yeah. How was it when you walked in the door and when you got out of the car and came in the house? That initial, before you would come in the house and then go grab a beer. I mean, how was it when you came in this time? Did you still have that behavior, that pattern?
by the time I got home, that whole thing was gone. It went away. I acknowledged it. I thought about it for a little bit. And it was like, that's interesting that is still there. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
I wonder what the next one is going to be that comes up. It's not, we know that we're not acting on it, obviously. Well, some of us aren't, but it's crazy to be able to see that. Like I was driving down the highway and it was still in my body. Like, all I could envision in my head, like a couple brief flashes, was a 30-pack of Bush.
It's amazing.
It was like, and it was like, are we out of Bush at home? Because that was a thing too. Like, I've got to stop at Quick Trip on the way home, pick up our 30
Pick up
pack.
some beer.
But that's a good question, babe. By the time I got home, one of the other feelings that popped up briefly was like, oh, now I'm just gonna go home and it's just gonna be this empty feeling of non-intoxication, very boring and dull. But that went away because I was like, oh, I'm gonna be present with my wife and my father-in-law, and I'm gonna enjoy the evening.
Yeah.
And then that was followed by yesterday, especially. I wanted to talk to you guys about this. I'm assuming you've done this because I can't just be the only defect in the room. But like, I came in yesterday, that rain was crazy, and I walked in and Dad's like, glad you made it home. Okay. And I did not do I thought about this going to bed. I had my cringy thoughts of like, why did I respond like that? I went like, it's just rain. And I walked upstairs and I was like slipping into some pity party shit because I just had a long day and I was tired. And Judy's like, glad you made it home safely. I'm like, whatever. But why didn't I react? So Dad just wants to have conversation. As I was going to bed, I was like, why didn't I say, yeah, holy shit, that was crazy. Like, I had so many discussions about the idiots I saw on the highway and what was going on with the cars, and instead I was just like, it's only rain.
Yes, let's unpack this. I mean, how did him asking that question make you feel?
Like I didn't have space.
You
I didn't have
smothered.
Yes. Wasn't by him and Judy, it was by events. I don't know. Maybe like my unrealistic expectation is I should be able to, this is probably it. I should be able to come home and go into a dark area and suppress my feelings with alcohol first before I engage in conversation. Maybe.
I know we're at the end of the hour here, but I'm going to ask some short questions.
Go
here.
for it.
Do you think it's fair for family members and other loved ones to check in on each other after
Well, fuck yeah.
environmental events?
Yeah, and the catch is that if they didn't, I would be like, what, do you not care about me? It's the paradox
Been
of
on
me.
the end of both of those.
So, in what world do you think the response of like it's just rain? Where do you think that being dismissive, right? Who's dismissing who?
I'm dismissing others. Or you think I'm dismissing myself? I don't know.
I don't know. How might you be?
It's a good question. I got to think about that some more. I'm aware. So, okay, so I'm aware of these downfalls from my I don't know what it is. It's like it's a lack of control. Like I want people to follow a script on how they're supposed to talk to me. And then how I'm supposed to answer stuff, and then how the events are supposed to unfold, which is
So
wildly
you're writing the
fucking
book
unreal.
again.
Yeah. But then the regret that happens, I'm telling you, like I was closing my eyes, getting drifting off, and I'm like, why the fuck did I not? I put it in my journal today, and I'm making it an active. So the writing down that I forget the name of the author. We're all three of us are reading "Fuck Your Feelings" by, I forgot that, you can look it up. There's only one book, but he says, a good thing to do is start journaling stuff and make a notebook and then write down, moving the chains, the most important thing that you want to do in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Today,
Yeah.
As of today, the most important thing that I want to do is stop before I have emotional interactions verbally with my wife and my father-in-law, because I react sometimes and I immediately go back and I'm like, that's not what I meant to do. That's not how I meant to respond.
So if they had a storm right now and came in, I'd be like, John, I'm so glad that you were here. I'm glad you made it home. How would you react to that? how else would you want to react to that?
Be like, Patrick, why are you in my house? Go home.
I'm just worried. I'm just worried.
What I again is, hey, it was crazy out there. Thanks for caring about me. I really appreciate it. Let me tell you about this idiot I saw on 291. You know, have a conversation.
I know. Well, I heard that one. The 291, the shift gears. This is my self-deprecating humor, right? When people want to give me compliments, I will shift that gear really hard.
Yeah. Oh, I know you do.
You just said, you know, like you wanted to acknowledge somebody caring for you, right? So do you think your dad asked that question out of a place of caring about you?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I have a question for
yeah.
both of you. What stops you from allowing that compliment or inquiry? What stops you from responding the way you want to respond or the way you think you should respond?
I know my answer.
You first, Patrick.
Answer's fucking ego. I mean,
It is.
and hear
But
me out.
you would think that somebody complimenting you, your ego would be like, oh, of course, thank you.
So-
I'm awesome.
I don't want to tie this to gender, but I feel there's a kindred spirit and the idea of what a male needs to be in our society, or at least what I have interpreted in my lifetime. All right. So this is wholeheartedly a me thing. I have always felt like, you know, as a man, you need to be able to provide and protect and do all that. And if you encumber anybody with your feelings or your inability to execute, you are less than. You are not valid. You know, I came in and I weathered the storm and I survived and I didn't bother anybody because I am a fucking man. Right?
That is it.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't worry about me when shit goes, because when shit goes down, you come to me, right? I'm the man. I'm the man.
So I have a question. Do you feel at any point, do you feel that sometimes you don't deserve that compliment?
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's the part of my brain that's like, it gets, you know, obviously there's stuff that I need to unpack because it goes way deeper. And of course, you know, when it arises, do better now of separating and like, you know, feeling it, and like instead of immediately reacting to it, I just let that voice speak and I'm like, why are you being so patently absurd? This is somebody that either cares about you or is trying to reflect on something, and you know, it's like, you know, thank you for acknowledging, you know, either the time and effort that went into it, you know, I felt like I could have done better, you know, like immediately would devolve into like, well, here's how I could make it better or whatever, you know, like ultimately I wanted to be valued as executing something perfectly and providing the space, being a man, right?
You're right.
So saying thank you is not part of being a man.
No, it's like what Patrick here. So Dad came again. Dad is my like silent monk in life. Teaches me. He came out the other day. Remember I showed you I put our kayak racks back on the truck. Dad came out and he's like, "Oh, I see you put the kayak rack. You put those back on your truck." And you know what I responded with? "I did that this morning. I did that like 6 hours ago." Like I was working on the antenna.
I'm a man. I don't need no instructions.
I know.
I got it.
I do shit fast. And he walked away and was just like, "What the fuck is wrong with you, dude?" Like me. I'm like, "Why did you?" That's why the title of this is the ego thing. There's been so many interactions too, and Judy will ask, or Dad, like when I'm working on the workshop, and like, "Oh, you did that." I'm like, "I wasn't hard." So easy. It was, but it's wildly
like
complex.
It's like my
for me.
kid, you know, having a tough time with the Legos. Hey, you know, can I show you where this? I know how to do it.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, I was wired the same way when I was his age. I mean, so it starts very early, Judy, on this, what we identify with, right? And being like to our very core actions, and even and it seems to be amplified in a storm that you're not expecting, right? When you go into survival mode, right? You have your adrenaline going, you have all your other stuff going. Oh, God forbid anybody finds you in a state of vulnerability there, right?
Yeah.
Oh, rather than you could have like almost wrecked a car, right? And still come on home unscathed. You could have been white knuckling for the last hour. And I could see myself answering that question the same way. Like, I'm glad you made it home. And I could have been like, oh, I almost had a near-death experience. I've been like, it just rained.
I know. And you know what? I am going to focus. I'm glad we had this conversation because you know what I was thinking about the whole time too was like, oh, this isn't shit. Even though I was a little bit scared. It was coming down so hard. I was like, when I was a truck driver, I was just doing all these comparisons like, oh my God, in Kuwait, I shut down a British artillery unit because they were firing over into a dead zone. Blah, blah. I was just like, this is nothing. But I was like, please make it stop. Oh my God, this is horrible.
I mean, like you said, in the Midwest, so that's a very real and appropriate response. Like 5 minutes ago, it was just whatever. Now the sky's yellow and this tree's flying across the house. It's like, well, at least it ain't an F5. Just rain.
Yeah. We
It's
do
like,
see that.
It could have just like a wind could have picked up in like not even a split second and then changed that to something else, right?
I know. That's how we are here, folks, in the Midwest. We're like, it was only an F3, no biggie.
Yeah.
So a tree just blew by. Not ever seen worse.
Cow.
Okay,
Right.
yeah, Cow, Twister.
Yep.
It's Judy's favorite movie. Okay, we got. Let's be respectful of folks' time. Folks are dropping off. What I've been doing. Okay, so 2 things real quick. Next week we got a special treat for. I'm not going to be reading the 988 and Al-Anon outros anymore. We got a very special treat coming for that. Stay tuned for the new formula. So anyway, what I've been doing is when I go in after the shows are uploaded, because I really, I kind of know what the topic is. So I did the discussing my ego was today, but then I find we can have a better title. This is what a lot of my good podcasters that I listen to do. So today's episode is going to be something around the goat was chewing my ear. That's going to be the title of the show.
There you go. Thank you, Odie.
Yeah, thank you, Odie. A lot of great comments today from everybody. Sorry we can't go through them all, but we're seeing them. Appreciate it. And thank you for the new folks. Wendy, thank you for joining.
Tuning in.
Yep, from the West Coast over there. And everybody else that's here. Patrick, thank you so much. Appreciate you being in our lives, and I like how we're developing this companionship still. I know it's been a lot. Because you have a lot of ego. You do.
It's big. I mean, I'm a guest here, but I could barely walk in through the door. A little floaty there.
How does your head fit on your shoulders,
it's
man?
like an orange on a toothpick.
Yeah, I noticed it the first when you were over here helping me do some on the workshop. You're like, oh my God, let me see. Your saw is so crooked. Look at this shit. I was just sitting back like ashamed. My God, look at this. Oh, Chicago Electric. Like, goddamn.
What the
Patrick.
heck is that?
Oh my God, you're gonna have me in tears.
All right. Let's wrap it up.
I'm very grateful for being able to come over here today. Power was restored in my house in the middle of the
Nice.
conversation here, but
Nice.
gratitude for friends right down the street.
Yep.
Willing to put me up.
Anytime, 24/7.
Anytime.
If I don't answer a text, you just got to call me.
Yeah, I guess I have to deal with these microphones and whatever.
Yeah.
This road microphone.
Yeah, that's right.
Suck it up, big boy.
Yeah, right. I love you guys so much.
Love you too, Patrick.
Love you too, man.
Okay, remember, if you or a loved one is having suicidal thoughts or ideation, reach out to the 988 Suicide Crisis Lifeline. A fantastic resource for you. And if you or a loved one are struggling, or someone you know struggling with alcoholism, addiction in general, whatever, reach out to Al-Anon. Get on the website. They've got fantastic programs to get you started. Believe me, it helps just to start to talk about this stuff. So, okay.
Be kind.
Be kind. Fucking be kind to yourselves.
Be patient with yourself.
Be patient, man. Okay. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We gained a bunch of subscribers. Last week it was 310. Now we're up to 319. Even though I told people, I'm like, don't subscribe. Get outside and get some fresh air. All right. Let me roll the Judy's quick outro.
Listening. Check out the Sober Mind live stream at youtube.com/@sobermind.
Odie makes me like get goats as pets too.
Yeah. Don't tell that to my wife. We'd probably have like 6 by now.
Yeah, goats are awesome. All right, everyone. Love you all. Have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.